On to the stock of yesterday's session, BF Utilities buzzed up in trade yesterday. A bit of a breather, but after a 10% up move, maybe this is warranted. What has happened is that the Supreme Court has given an order in favor of Nandi Infra. They've issued a notice to PWD, the Commerce and the Industrial Secretary as well, to release land, I believe 775 acres of it, because it's required for the project. Mr. Ashok Kenny, the MD of Nandi Infra, joins us right now from Bangalore. Good to have you, Mr. Kenny. Thanks so much for taking the time out. To hear it from the horse's mouth itself, what's happened, as we understand that there has been a notice that has been issued to these various bodies to make sure that the land is released in favor of your project. Am I reading it correctly?
Yes, correct. What has happened was, you have got to go back to a little bit to the history of the project. So far, there are approximately 574 lawsuits been filed against the project, and every single of them we have won, both in High Court as well as in Supreme Court. And one of the lawsuits which was done for our 7 acres and 30 guntas of land was by a gentleman by name Nagbhushan, who said this is part of the 776 acres of excess land. Supreme Court ruled that time that this is not a part of the excess land, but actually it is required for the project, and they fined the person 10 lakh as a penalty that time, saying that that this is required, and ordered the government to hand over the land, and there is no such thing as excess land. In spite of that, the government continued to file frivolous lawsuits, and then we went for a contempt against this specific case, and the Supreme Court has issued contempt notices to its principal secretaries, PWD and Industries and Commerce, for disobeying them. And the hearing is coming for their criminal action hearing is coming in July. So we think this is a positive development, because the Supreme Court has specifically addressed contempt issue against these officers, and we are hoping this will motivate them to not be afraid of Mr. Devegowda. So that's the reason he's the one. What he was doing was, a lot of these lands which was notified, and after it was notified the land, and his family members, extended family, will go and buy the land at a cheaper rate from the farmers and try to get it denotified. So this is also proof we are submitting to the Supreme Court next time.
So how much land is expected to get released to the company once the order is honored, and what is the procedure from here on? How much time will this take?
I think it's up to the government, but they know that it is a serious issue, and they cannot just hide behind rules and regulations, because there are specific orders, and I expect them that they'll be motivated or induced into implementing the project on a fast track, because the hearings is going to start in the middle of July, and I think that before that hearing comes, the government would act and hand over the land to us so that we could proceed with the project.
Am I understanding it correctly?
One thing I'd like to...
Yeah, please carry on.
Yeah, I'd like to mention one thing, how the whole operation happens, and this seems to be a trend all over the country. So you see here, there's a chart which I'd like to show here, and this chart shows how the extended family of Devegowda is there, and then how the extended family members acquire the land after being notified, and then ask for denotification. I think this is become a serious issue here, because as you see, the ex-Chief Minister Yediyurappa is facing charges of denotification, and other Chief Ministers also facing. I think same thing will happen here, because this is a whole conspiracy created by the bureaucracy and some unethical politicians, wherein how to acquire land under this denotification process. And we resisted this, because we believed as a company, you play by the rule, you never lose. So we are willing to go for the long haul, and we did not scramble to any pressure, political pressure or undue influences. And I think after this is going to be a good year, bang year for Nandi, because we think that after this July hearing, or before that, we should start getting all the land and start implementing the project on a fast track basis. If I get the land within next 3 months, I should be able to build the road all the way to Mysore by December of next year, and also this will ease the traffic. And for example, yesterday I had to go to Mysore. It took me nearly 3.5 to 4 hours on the existing road. When this road is built, it will take maybe an hour and 15 minutes.
Okay, I agree, Mr. Kenny. My question really is that it's probably difficult to lay down a timeline onto when land does get into your hands. well, it could well happen that the government will give it to you before July. My question really is, are there any parcels of land which are already notified and in your name, and would you kickstart the project if you've got majority of the land, or would you kickstart the project only and only when you have all the 776 odd acres under your name?
No, we have always been building. Even if we get 1 acre of land, we build the road immediately, because we don't believe in waiting for every inch of land to come, because then the projects won't happen. This is how the Northern Peripheral Road died, because they waited for all the land and then nothing was built. Not a meter of road has been built. So we've got a philosophy: as soon as you get the land, build it, because building today is less expensive than building tomorrow. And so basically what happens is, as soon as we get any land, we'll start building. We got our equipment, manpower ready, sitting idle right now.
Right.
And I think we'll start building immediately. And all the land which they have given to us so far, we already completed the road. And we're also starting other development activities, like we're building a stadium,
Right.
the state-of-the-art, largest cricket stadium in the world.
How much work has been completed so far? Over what area of land?
So in the first phase, we had to build 62 kilometers of road. We have completed 56 kilometers. About approximately 6 or 7 kilometers is left to be done. As soon as we get this land, we should finish that off in maybe in 3 months. And so we'll have connectivity to the Bidadi township and Toyota, Kirloskar, etc. That will create a truly high-class infrastructure to the people of Bangalore.
Right. And how much additional land do you expect to get released over the next 3 months?
I expect them to release all this land in first phase, which they have to release us approximately maybe 2,000 acres of land. So I expect to get that release within next 3 months. And there's some issue about price fixation in the township. What they had done was, this is another scheme people do. I'm saying this so that people are aware. They notify the land preliminary notification, and then the politicians and bureaucrats can go and buy the land by delaying the project. For, let's say, in township 1, that some of the politicians have bought it for 5 lakhs an acre. Then they use their influence to set a price of 40-50 lakhs an acre, so they could make a quick gain.
Sure.
So this is what they've done in Township 1. We have challenged that also to the High Court.
Okay, Mr. Kenny, having said that, just a couple of questions on now the ownership and the PE interest, so on and so forth. One is that in the past, when you've spoken to us, you mentioned that funds from Japan and the US are looking to pick up stake in this project. What's the status there? Have you had any advanced negotiations with anybody?
Yes. Yes, we are right now having negotiations. And for example, what we are looking for funds now is not for the main infrastructure project, but we are looking in terms of for our water project, for our power project. And we have got several negotiations happening. And we should conclude it within this quarter. And also we are building, like I said, the mega infrastructure project, mega stadiums, and we are going to be building a race course and things like that, and for which we are also looking for funding, and they're in a high level of conclusion.
How much money comes in, as you said, within the end of this quarter? That is one. And two, a large corporate house, I believe, recently exited the stake. I believe the Adage group has exited partially or fully some of the stake that it held in your company. What's the reason thereof?
They're looking at investment. They're invested for 5 years, and they've looked at a good appreciation. So they acquired, they had invested maybe about 60 crores, and they got 300 crores back in 5 years. They needed the funds to deploy in other areas. So they approached us, so we said fine, and that is acquired. They were paid the money and the shares were taken back. And that was also taken back by another international company. And so it's good for the project, because that shows the valuation of the project has gone up at least by 5 times since the project started.
And how much money comes in at the end of this quarter? You mentioned you will raise some money for the power projects and so on and so forth.
I'm looking at approximately 500 crores to come in, 400 to 500 crores to come in before the end of this quarter for these other projects. And I hope to conclude the agreement by end of May.
How much stake are we talking, and could you share with us some names of these private equity players?
See, the thing is, they are not coming into the main project, okay? The main project is frozen now, okay? They're coming into, it's a special projects, like we got a cricket stadium coming up, and people are coming into that. We got the sports academy coming into that. We got a housing development joint ventures, which is coming into that. Okay, so we are building, for example, in one location, we are building an 88-floor building, which will be the tallest building in India, so which will be built, and the joint venture, they're bringing the money. And so this is it's an ongoing process. So it's not something which is, you're running a sprint, you're running a marathon. And so it's continuous process is happening, and some of the top builders in the country and world are joining the project.
Sir?
But they know this project has withstood, for example, you got Prestige from India. Okay, you got Umang from Singapore. Okay, so people like that are joining. So they're joining hands to build some of the, I think you will see in another 3 years that Bangalore would be a changed city. It would be probably the top city in the country because of this project. As it is now, we are experiencing approximately about 1 lakh vehicles, PUCs per day on our road. Just imagine if this road was not built, Bangalore would have been shut down with the traffic jams.
Okay, Mr. Kenny, we'll of course talk to you in July as well, wherein further updates coming from the Supreme Court. All the best for all the litigations that you are fighting. Thanks.
Okay, I'd love to invite you to come and visit Bangalore, see the project, and you'll see the magnitude of the project, how wonderful this project is.
We'll look forward to do that, Mr. Kenny. Surely. Thanks so much for taking the time out and for the invite as well.
Thank you so much for having me.